Against all odds, Mikhail Gorbachev, whose funeral was held yesterday, lifted the Iron Curtain, ended the Cold War, and transformed global politics. While the current leader of Russia, Vladimir Putin, laid flowers on Gorbachev's casket Thursday, Putin did not attend the funeral. The Kremlin says he was too busy. Ted Koppel takes us back to a moment in time when he witnessed Gorbachev's final hours as president of the Soviet Union.
Christmas Day, 1991. Soviet President Mikhail Gorbachev arrives at the Kremlin for what will mark the end of the Soviet Union and his last day as president. Back then, I was still at ABC. For reasons of his own, Gorbachev has granted an ABC News production team and me exclusive access. We join him in his Kremlin office. There's an innocuous-looking briefcase holding, we are told, the nuclear launch codes. His successor, Boris Yeltsin, will have one of his people pick it up shortly. The American president, George H.W. Bush, is celebrating the Christmas holiday at Camp David.
Merry Christmas.
Gorbachev calls to say goodbye.
Алло. Да, Джордж, дорогой, приветствую.
George, my dear friend, I greet you.
Поздравить вас с Рождеством и Барбару.
Let me begin by saying something pleasant. I would like to say Merry Christmas to you and to Barbara and to your entire family.
It's how the final hours go. A series of goodbyes culminating with a farewell broadcast to the Russian people.
Дорогие соотечественники.
Dear fellow citizens.
An hour after the resignation speech, I'm invited back into the office.
Прощаемся.
Ted, I understand we're saying goodbye,
Но я говорю до свидания.
but I'm not saying farewell.
I hope not.
Gorbachev's answer to an innocuous question resonates strangely now, more than 30 years later, here in the United States.
What are you going to do tomorrow?
Завтра я буду еще здесь разбираться.
Tomorrow I will still be here sorting out some papers
Вещи.
and some personal effects.
Одно в архив, другое в
Some
муку.
will be sent to
Третье на
the
дачу,
archives.
четвертое на квартиру.
Some will be destroyed. Some I
Элементарный
will take
порядок.
to my country
Как
home
говорится,
and
большая
some to
стирка,
my
большая стирка.
city apartment. So I have to do it. It's the big wash.
And a haunting answer to an earlier question. Was there a Russian fable that might explain to an American child why Gorbachev, so popular in our country, was being forced out of office in his?
На Востоке молодой правитель
Centuries
хотел
ago,
править не
there
так,
was
как до него
a young
правили,
ruler in the Orient,
а
and he
человечески.
wanted to rule in a different way, in a more human way, in his kingdom. And he asked the views of the wise men.
Через 10 лет
And it took 10 years to bring 20 carts with volumes of advice.
он сказал, когда я буду читать, то
He
вести
said,
праву.
when am I
своим
going to
царством.
read all that? I have to govern
Через
my
10
country.
лет ему привезли
10 years later, they brought him just 10 volumes of advice.
сказал, что это много.
He said, that too is too much.
Тогда через 5 лет ему привезли одну
5
книжицу.
years later, he was brought just one volume,
Но,
small
к
volume.
сожалению, уже вот 25 лет прошло,
But
и он
unfortunately,
лежал на смертном одре.
25 years had passed and he was on his deathbed.
И когда этот мудрец
And when
посмотрел на него, он даже не стал ему книгу
the
давать.
wise man looked at the book, he didn't even
Ситуация
give
ясна.
the book
Но
to
тем не
that
менее
dying
сказал, а
man.
в общем, все то, что здесь написано,
He said, well, all in all that is
можно
here
свести
can
простой
be
формой.
summarized in a simple formula.
Люди рождаются,
People are born,
страдают
people suffer,
и умирают.
and people die.
По-моему, очень емкая форма.
People are born, people suffer, and people die. Mikhail Gorbachev would live another 30 years, widely admired throughout much of the world for bringing an end to a communist Soviet Union. But Gorbachev was mostly ignored and sometimes even reviled at home for the very things that made him so popular in the West.